We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner.
Man, I'm confident in our offense. That's
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube, and also rate the show 5 stars everywhere you get your podcasts, especially out there on Apple Podcasts, because you could be in the entry. Every 5-star rating is an entry to giving away a Darnell Wright jersey. Today, we are recapping the Chicago Bears' double-digit loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and we're also unveiling a new segment we are calling The Blame Game. Hopefully, it dies after this week, but we're really just going to be talking about who should we blame, and also what side of the coin should we be talking about. So we'll be breaking down the offense, breaking down the defense, and then at the end, we're going to end it on a high note. We're going to end it on bright side and talk about the people that did play well. It's not going to be a long segment, but still it will be a segment that we will be finishing the show off. But PayPal, you were out in the woods somewhere. You came back just to watch the Bears lose Sunday night. How are you feeling, my friend?
Yeah, I came out of the dark, there was, I saw some bears and stuff, and, I thought it was going to be a sign of, hey, maybe the Bears are going to win. And no, it meant maybe, I guess the Bears, when I think about it, they're actually kind of running away. So maybe that was a sign that that the Bears going to lose. But it's crazy. Like, I think it's such a, the Bears fans are literally the best. First of all, that we stick through, watching this team, through this 12-game losing streak. But also, we only lost by 10 points, but it feels like we got blown out. I think that's so funny of like how serious us Bears fans are, Brad.
Yeah, and I will say too, we can easily say that it was a 3-point game because of we'll talk about, actually, we'll just get this thing out of the way, and we might talk about it when it's Getsy versus Justin Fields, but 3 screens in a row, and then obviously the pick 6 on the screen. We've all kind of seen it. It circled around the internet. Yeah, that's bad, and then that makes this a double-digit game because PayPal, we tweeted this out at Unbearable Sports that I went back all the way back to 2013, and I don't know if you saw this stat, but the Bears and the Texans are 2 of 15 other teams that in the past 10 years have lost by double digits in the first 2 weeks. Do you want to know the success rate of those teams? It's not good.
Yeah, I was going to say, I might not want to know this.
It's not very good. There's only been one team, and that was in 2017 with the New Orleans Saints, that have made the playoffs at 11-5. The next best was 8-8, and I believe that was the Colts. And then besides that, nobody really sniffed a winning record. There's only one winning record, and 60% of those teams ended with 4 wins or less. And actually, 80% of those teams ended with 6 wins or less. And can you guess how many wins Matt Nagy had in his final year as a Bears head coach, where it was terrible?
What was it, 6?
It was 6 wins. And we're just fighting for 6 wins out there. So things are bad. Things are a little bit rough. But yeah, I agree with you. Us Bears fans, like, we're watching this game, and it's like, why are we doing this? I will say, I have my 3 TV set up. I think I might have tweeted a picture out of this, but I have 3 TVs set up because I have the red zone going. We don't get the Bears game in Wisconsin sometimes, so I had the Bears game on the big screen. Then I actually had the Packer game on the 3rd TV to watch them lose to the Falcons. But anyways, PayPal, I guess just first impressions for those that are watching out there on YouTube. I guess just grievance. Like, how did you feel watching that game?
Yeah, it was just, honestly, sadly, after camping, I saw the score, so I knew we lost when I initially watched the game, which, I always try not to see that stuff, but it's like inevitable,
Yeah.
But it was just frustration, honestly. I think the biggest thing that comes to mind when I was watching that game is you're just like, why is Justin Fields missing these open passer, wide receivers when he's been in this offense for a year already, like that he has played with these guys for over a year, but besides DJ Moore, but has that continuity with him. And it's just, that's not what we should be expecting. That is not what we should be seeing, of like this confusion from the offense. Like all this offense just looks very discombobulated. And it's like, it looked more organized last year, honestly, near the end of the season, like, and it's like, it's back to square one from weeks 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the offense, just looking like, what the heck is going on? Like, people are running the wrong routes. That last in the fourth quarter where Cole Kmet and DJ Moore work in the same spot. It's like, how does that happen when the coaching's good? If the coaching is good on a team, how can that happen when your quarterback has, confidence in his receivers of, not throwing to him and stuff. So it's just a lot of frustration of like, why isn't this team where we expect it to be? It's just, it's not meeting that expectations at all to this point. And I don't know if you share those same frustrations, or kind of your first thoughts of when you kind of finished watching this game. But I think frustration was the word I can think of. It's not like it was, the worst team in the NFL, but it feels like it is, because we have such high expectations for this team.
I can hear the sadness. I feel like for you, it's like I hear sadness when you're talking about this, where it just you sound deep down depressed and just gloomy coming back from your trip, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I was pissed. And this might be a bold take. I almost felt worse. I didn't feel as angry after this compared to the Packers game, but I felt worse. And my wife's like, so what happened? I'm like, basically, nothing good happened. And we played worse than we did last season, and we have the people. It's almost like the flip-flop, right? Last year, we said, like a lot of people were saying the Bears should be better because of the coaching. And it's like, forget the players. We need coaching, right? And then this year, a lot of it was we have the better players. So now the coaching will be better. And we said this before, that we hope that the coaching can play well. And I know in my prediction, I said, the Bears are an 8-win team. They're a solid team on paper, but the coaching is going to push this one way or the other. And right now, it feels like the coaching is yanking us back. But PayPal, let's actually, because we've already kind of alluded to this, let's get into our first showdown. I wish that I had should have downloaded a little bell sound for us to ding in. I think I have like a bleep sound. There we go.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
I guess that's going to be our ring. So we are going to go into.
Or if we swear, or I
might have to do this because the team looked like absolute. So, but Luke Getsy versus QB1 Justin Fields. PayPal, let's talk about this. Let's throw it down. We're playing the blame game. Who deserves more blame, Getsy or Justin Fields? A lot of people pointing fingers both ways. Where are you going?
Yeah, I think we can all agree there's not one definitive answer, but if I had to choose one kind of way, I'm kind of choosing it's Getsy's fault, to be honest, for my point of view of, the Green Bay Packers, kind of his game plan. He had a game plan, and it seems like the team just wasn't there to execute it. And that's where you see the team just looks discombobulated. When I mentioned that play earlier of, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore being in the wrong positions. We've seen that time and time again so far this season. Even just through 2 weeks, you kind of see the offense just not looking in sync. They almost just have been running plays wrong and not executing. And that's where that's not Justin Fields' fault. That's our coaching, not coaching the guys right and kind of preparing them for the game. And honestly, another thing to blame, I think, for Getsy is we saw last year when Justin Fields was doing well, when everyone was giving him all this hype of, he was running the ball. He had designed runs. He was running outside the pocket. He was, doing play action passes, after doing a successful run, doing some play action, getting Justin Fields to roll out, using his legs as kind of that third or fourth option you want to, call it. He's not doing that anymore. And I think he's trying to force Justin Fields to this pocket passer that he's just obviously not. He never was. Like in college football, it was different. I think we always allude to, Ohio State wide receiver openness, and that's not how the NFL is anymore. So I think it's Getsy's fault. With most of this, he's just not giving Justin Fields the offense that he needs. He's trying to make this offense into what he wants.
Yeah, I do agree, and I agree with you too. Where first off, I'm not the type of person that does like to throw blame at someone. And the office, I always don't like working with those people that are like, well, something broke, so whose fault is it? It's like,
Yeah.
let's just talk. Like, I don't care whose fault it is. But with this is just fun to kind of talk about who is it, right? Who kind of did perform the worst, so to speak. And I do agree with you a little bit on the Luke Getsy side of things, where I actually pulled up this stat and it's posted out to our Twitter that really there's only been 6 throws from Justin Fields that's over 20 yards. And you look at his completion, and you look at him too on screens. He is 7 for 11, 59 yards, and has a QB rating of 61 point, or a PFF grade of 61.4, while a 98 passing grade when it's deep past 20 yards. But also too, you mentioned play action. On 14 snaps of play action, he has a 108.6 QBR and 86.1 PFF grade. Very, very good. Borderline elite. Non-play action, 71 snaps, 46.7 PFF grade, and 66.2 QBR. I do agree.
Wow.
The quickness of what he can do helps him out. And simplifying things makes it easier. But for me, I'm going especially for last game, I put a lot of blame on Justin Fields. We've talked about it before. Now, does this mean Justin Fields is trash, absolute garbage? No, this reminds me of Matt Nagy and Mitch Trubisky, where both could be bad. But there were plays that, like Mitch Trubisky, we knew he could only throw it to one person. But with Justin Fields and Luke Getsy, it feels like there's a handful of plays that Luke Getsy calls that are good. We saw some. But then you're like, why are you doing 3 screens in a row? That makes no sense. Why do you have the running backs where, fun fact, Khalil Herbert, 5 yards a carry, Roshan Johnson, 8 yards a carry against a very good run defense. We were running the ball well, but we just weren't doing that. But to me, it's a larger issue with Justin Fields and processing. He's looking at the proper people, but he's not throwing the ball. It's either he has lack of faith in his wide receivers, or he just doesn't understand, doesn't comprehend that this person is open. To me, I think it's more so the second, that he just doesn't understand that these people are open and he's afraid to throw the ball, which I get. You don't want to be making mistakes, and it could be a credit to multiple coaches, overcoaching, whatever we want to say. The fact is, he sees open receivers and he doesn't pull the trigger. And my fear is that you see what DJ Moore has been able to do. When you throw it his way, I don't have the exact stat up here, but I believe it's DJ. Actually, I think I can just pull it off my head. DJ Moore has been targeted 9 times and completed 8 of his passes to him. Chase Claypool has been targeted 10 times and has only 3 catches. So there's a huge disparity that's been going on. And to me, get the ball in the hands of your receivers and just give them a chance. I think that's the frustrating part with Justin Fields, is he doesn't understand it and he's not throwing the ball. Watching Red Zone right next to the Bears TV,
oh gosh,
it's frustrating because you see the other quarterbacks that are just simply throwing the football. And we saw it all the time, Justin Fields holding onto the ball. And I know that there's probably going to be a stat head out there that's like, well, he's taken the most sacks of all time. It's his offensive line. It's not just his offensive line. The dude holds the ball forever. Watch the game.
I completely I think that's perfect because I mean, yeah, it was so frustrating watching Baker Mayfield, and it's like he was getting pressured. Like I mean, we could talk about our defense later, but it's like our
Yeah,
defensive line, I think, played really well,
they played
but
better.
or played better. Yeah, I would say better, not really well, but played better. And like, yeah, so frustrating to watch that. And honestly, yeah, it's like our line played better as well. Our offensive line, I saw like it wasn't like that constant pressure like it was in the Packers game where you're like, okay, we see why, Justin Fields might be struggling. It's like just get the ball out sooner. Stop taking this like 5-step drop, like, where he's taking these extra steps. Like take that just 2 steps and then fire. Like have confidence in receivers, have confidence in your arm and your accuracy and your decision making. I think it feels like Fields doesn't have that confidence sometimes. And I think he lost it. Like last year, even when they're losing, it seemed like he was having fun, and he's lost that having
Yeah.
fun part of it. And I think that's where we just have to try to get back. But how can you when you're losing? You lost 12 games in a row.
I feel like it is kind of like he has so many things going on in his mind right now where it's I
Yeah,
have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. I know
I
I
agree.
can do this. And it feels like too when he thinks about something, he takes a deep breath, he relaxes, he's calm, and you can almost like see his mental process. Get the ball, couple steps back, throw it, right? But you're like, it's a fast game. It
Yeah,
by slowing down the game doesn't mean slowing yourself down. He needs to play fast. And we've seen it all over Twitter, all the different recaps of basically he takes so long to get back into his stance and just get the ball out. So, yeah, I think it's very difficult, but let's actually go into just the offensive recap though overall. I want to continue your points about the offensive line because I'm getting a little nervous about Cody Whitehair because Cody
yeah,
Whitehair is up there in age and he's playing like it. Now, maybe it's because he went from center to guard, or maybe it's because he's a little bit older. I don't think that he was looking that good. I think that he made a handful of mistakes. He just looked really clumsy. And Lucas Patrick is still, why is he out there? I want to see what we have with our backups just to see what they're doing. But I'm still happy with Darnell Wright. And I know that Darnell Wright and Braxton Jones got cooked on 2 plays. But I felt for the rest of the game, I'm looking at their numbers. They allowed, Braxton Jones allowed 3 pressures and Darnell Wright allowed 2. That's
yeah.
not that bad when you think about playing the tackle position. I think at the interior there was some mishaps, but I like what they have from a potential perspective, and I've been very surprised by Darnell Wright with how he's been playing out the gate. And I think for a rookie to be playing the way he is right out the gate, going against Rashawn Gary and Shaq Barrett, I
Yeah.
I don't think that, and I know bright sides are at the end, but I've been pleasantly surprised with Darnell Wright overall. Even though he has let up a handful of plays, he still has a lot of room to grow, which is promising for a team that has not been
Yeah.
that good.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because honestly, I think sometimes people forget he actually has been playing well. It's just like when he lets up a sack, it's really ugly.
It
It's
is.
like
It
when
is.
he let up that sack against Shaq Barrett, it was like, oh gosh,
It's
that's our
like,
first. That was our first round draft pick. I was like,
yeah.
oh man, and yeah. What's up, Tareen? How's it going? But yeah, I think this offense, like the offensive line, I was I was happy with. Like
Yeah.
content. I was content with them this game. I think in the running game against a guy like Vita Vea, Shaq Barrett, great run defending on the edge. Like they played pretty well. I mean, yeah, you said it. Like they averaged, Khalil Herbert averaged 5 yards.
Yeah.
What a great game I think for Khalil
He
Herbert.
played
I think
very well.
he
Yeah.
played out of his mind where a lot of those runs, he had 7 carries, but each one of those carries, he had his, like, head on fire, and, like, he just wouldn't go down. Like, there was that 3rd down, I
Yeah.
believe, where it should not have been a first, and the out that blocking is out to the left, and it just the blocking was terrible, and he just took on, like, 2 guys and got the first down. So, Khalil Herbert, I know we were rooting for Roshan Johnson, but heck, like he looked really, really good this game. And I like having this dual backfield of both of them
Yeah.
out there. I think they just bring a lot more energy. Um, yeah,
I
it was fun.
I liked what they did, how Deonta Foreman was a healthy inactive, right? You need to have some people inactive, and we've talked about it. He doubles up a lot of the same skill sets as your other running backs have. Do you
Yeah.
flat out cut him? I think the only reason why you cut him is if like he doesn't want to be there. He's a veteran. If I would talk to him and just say, listen, Roshan has been great, and we want to give the rookie his opportunity. And if he's cool with that, awesome. If he's not, you can let him on his way, and he can test the dicey market that is
Yeah.
that is running backs. So I think that it was a smart move, but also, yeah, I agree. Khalil Herbert was playing like somebody who had his job on the line. And that's exactly what his scenario is. Even though that he's going to be in a split backfield, he's got to fend off Roshan, who's fighting to show that he belongs in this league. And Khalil Herbert is like, I got to do that too. Yeah, just throwing people off. I'm like, that's what you want to see. When you talk
Mhm.
about the heart of this team, yes, DJ Moore is phenomenal, but these running backs are fighting for something, and you really saw it last game. And also, fun fact, best run blocker out there, or best run blocking grade, I believe, or pass blocking, was Roshan Johnson. And let me just
Oh,
actually
wow.
switch that over. And I think the second, here, let me just pull this up just to confirm. Number one pass blocking grade, 80.2, Roshan Johnson. Number two was Khalil Herbert, 77.8. So both of them good from the pass blocking perspective. It's excellent to see Khalil Herbert doing that. So
Yeah.
yeah, the running
Agreed.
backs played very well. And maybe that's why they wanted to throw a million screens.
Yeah.
Or they didn't know what to do. So, but yeah, I understand trying to get it into their hands. Just do it. Just hand it to them. Don't be throwing these screens out there, especially the same one 3
And
times in a row.
yeah, the screens, the only thing I could be like, hey, well, the screens were kind of well drawn up. I know that's kind of hot to say, but it's just because it's like we talked about before. The Buccaneers like to blitz, so I think that's why he had those screens out there. It would have worked. I mean, Shaq Barrett, he did have a good play on some of that, but
But
yeah, I guess, yeah,
my my
yeah,
feeling though on it though, I just got to say this, and then we could throw those in the past. If you're gonna call 3 screenplays in a row,
yeah, not in
at
a
least
row.
flip the sides, right?
Yeah,
Like that's the big thing. If you have to do it, your life depends on it. You have to call 3 screens because you lost your playbook, right? At least flip the sides, because that's when to them it's a trick play, so to speak, because I have to pretend like I'm blocking you and then let you by. So if I know your move, if I'm a defensive lineman and you just did the same thing twice in a row, I know exactly what you're doing. So that's where it makes sense to not do it on the same side. Obviously, stupid play call. That's where the questions of Getsy. It's like, well, what are you doing from that perspective? But let's talk about the wide receivers a little bit before we flip over. And we said it before. I said DJ Moore over 100 yards. I was hoping for 150 with my bold prediction. And honestly, he should have been there. You saw just how good he was. Darnell Mooney out with an apparent knee bruise is what he's been kind of calling it. So
okay.
should be back the following week. But Chase Claypool had a touchdown. Any other things that you can think about with these wide receivers?
Yeah, I mean, good to see Chase Claypool out there. He did play with a little bit more aggression or hard work or whatever you want to call it, and I still think he almost like doesn't have that passion for football sometimes. I think he had that touchdown catch, and it was like I think he was like, finally, I got that touchdown, and I think he was kind of like, I don't have to work anymore. And after that touchdown, you watched him. That's when he started not pass blocking as well, and just not looking like he's running his route stuffs, and he was just back to what it was week one. So it was cool seeing Chase Claypool get that touchdown, get 3 receptions, and show that he, has that physicality and that great run after the catch. But just keep your head, keep humble, Chase Claypool, and not, don't just let go once you get this touchdown. Keep going. Keep hungry for our next one.
Yeah, like I said, 8 out of 3. 8 out of 3 targets to him. Chase Claypool, to me, he's got to be better. And I think that's just plain and simple. Yeah, Broski's out here. Love you guys. I'm worn out. Can't discuss the game. No worries, Broski.
Hey, I feel that. I feel that, Broski.
Appreciate it, man.
Hey, that's why we needed a day to discuss the Bears. You know, this is the hangover that Brad and I had.
Oh, for sure.
From watching the Bears.
I feel like that's how it is. Every time the Bears lose, we'll be on live on Monday just to be like, man, the heck just happened to us. But that's how we feel right now. It is that disappointment of the Chicago Bears and what they did. And because this was supposed to be different, right? But like we said, overall with the offense, it's just not clicking. And I will say this, though. The Washington Commanders are, I believe, week 5, and that's a Thursday, and then we get the long week. So maybe it's just going to be 5 weeks of absolute crap, and then maybe then it'll be like the Patriots again, and it'll be fun, and we'll be able to watch the team. So we'll have to see what ends up happening, but let's flip over to this Bears defense, where we allowed 317 passing yards and 120 rushing yards. Rachaad White had 43 yards per carry on 17 carries for 73 yards and a touchdown. We let up the offense. The defense itself let up 20 points, which isn't terrible, but I believe that there's the stat that they're the first team in NFL history that have allowed 25 total 25 plus points a game for the past 12 games. Man, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. But also, Broski, you're the man, giving out a super chat, $5, saying keep it up. Thank you so much, Broski. And yeah, we get it if you got to take a break from those Bears for a while.
Yeah, lift those weights, like have, put like Justin Fields' face, put like Eberflus's face on the punching bag, whatever you need to do to get that 6-pack,
Yeah.
That's
what we got to do. We all just got to be super buff and just be like, we all have to just train and then be the Bears players. But appreciate it, Broski, for real, man. But let's go over to this defense where we have to talk about the blame game. We got to play it again. Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus, who is more to blame out of this? PayPal, start us off. Who are you pointing the finger more at?
Hey, I think this one, I think before we were kind of in between, Justin Fields, Getsy. I think this one goes one way. I'm pointing it at Flus, completely. I just, you find, last year it was like, okay, we just don't have the guys. We don't have the linebackers. We don't have the defensive line players to rush the quarterback, all that stuff. Now you have it. Now you have all the guys you wanted. You got Tremaine Edmonds, you got TJ Edwards, you got a new cornerback, you got, five new defensive linemen. You got it all, Flus. And you see the missed tackles of, one of his boys, Yannick Ngakoue, like twice. And then you see like just no plays being made. I mean, you see all the hits characteristics just not panning out. You see the missed tackles. You see no turnovers being made, even though the guys are in turnover, positions of picking the ball off, creating a strip sack, and they just are not getting committed. And I just think that's got to be a coaching issue, and maybe it's just not resonating with some of the guys that have been here for, the 12 losses in a row, and it's just hard to get through to these guys. I just have to say it's Foles, or not Foles, Flus. Yeah, screw you,
Nick Foles. It all goes back to Nick Foles.
It all goes back to him, but he's got his guys now, and it's frustrating. Yeah, there was injuries this game, but you just see them get 400 yards of total offense. Sure, it was only 20 points, but it just wasn't a pretty defensive outing.
Yeah, and Tiff, what's going on, Tiff? He said the Bears franchise never tried to develop a quarterback. He's blaming the coaches. Yeah, no matter whatever quarterback we get, we always seem to ruin them.
Hey, that's what it
Yeah,
feels like sometimes. That's
it
what it
does.
feels like.
It does, and also too, because someone asked me about what's the difference between Trubisky and I think even Stephen A. Smith talked a little bit about this. The difference between Trubisky and Justin Fields is Fields feels like he still has, like, this isn't him, that there's something going on. The best way to say it is, like, I've worked with people that needed to get fired, even though they're not a bad person or an employee. It's just they were so sunken into the organization that they needed a change of scenery, whether that was a change of department, change of company, something. And then that person goes on and does wonderful things because they're just they just hate where they're at. They just don't like what they're doing. And it doesn't mean that Justin Fields doesn't like the Bears, but it just seems like it's one of those situations where if he were to go somewhere else and let's say the Rams got a hold of him, then all of a sudden he's just a beast and he just goes crazy and he's in a system that they're taking advantage of what he has to do. But I digress.
Hey, little quick thing on that, and maybe we should not be talking about Justin Fields leaving the Bears, but I think it's just kind of fun to think about because we love Justin Fields and we want him to be
fun
happy.
to think about.
We want him not fun to think about. Sorry,
no, that'd be terrible if he's good after this.
I don't know if you do this, Brad, but when our Bears are kind of going through this, sometimes I like to just have my second team that I root for, and that's been the Falcons. And just imagine what if he went to what if he was on that offense? And I think that's the offense that we gotta try and not replicate, but it's like that heavy run offense, and they just embrace it. I think
they do.
Getsy was trying to just not, I don't want to say, but run away from it, but he kind of is. It's like we can be a running offense, and that's okay. We can manage the clock because when we did it last year, it worked. It worked when we managed the clock, and now we're not. But
yeah, I mean, to be fair, that makes a lot of sense because why not just be like, we are running the ball. This is what we do. Desmond Ridder is similar to Justin Fields where they haven't been good passers. So, yeah, and also T-Dub saying Greg Gabriel said he's out on Fields, wants Bajan to start. Whew, that's I felt like most of us were like, just put in Bajan.
Hey, I had that feeling after that play. I mean, I know we're kind of moving to defense, but after that play where DJ Moore was wide open on the left side, he's begging for the ball.
Yeah.
Tyler Scott was wide open on the slant, coming across the field. That would have been a touchdown. And then you got Cole Kmet doing that little center, not fly, but just running straight up the field. That would have been a touchdown. And it's like, come on, Fields. Come on.
Yeah. And he's looking
would have made that throw.
He's looking at that. There's two people. Yeah. Bajan would have just been like, whoop. And so, honestly, when do you bench him? I think if we continue to get blown out, send a blow to his ego, right? If he's not the guy and if he's not playing like the guy, not saying you should just start Bajan, but if he's not doing well, be like, look, this is what we're going to do here, right? And we're just going to switch this out. T-Dub saying Ray Charles blind.
Coach, what up?
Hey, he looks at it, and then we got Skokes there. No bueno. I agree, man. But I got to go over we got to get back on the defensive train. Flus versus Poles. Who's to blame for some of this defense? Something that it still frustrates me. I don't like that we signed linebackers to big money deals like the Tremaine Edmonds. And no, Edmonds put up some stats.
He did.
But I look at this defensive line, you have to build in the trenches. And also, too, our two starting safeties went down. One was dehydrated in Jaquan Brisker and came back. But I laughed at it because PayPal, how many times did we say over the offseason, when are we going to get a backup safety? Because we have Elijah Hicks, but literally they just signed a 7th round guy in Kendall Williamson who really doesn't do anything. And then we had an undrafted rookie free agent out there where I'm looking at Poles and we're like, Poles, why didn't you add anybody? Why didn't you add anybody into this? And also the defensive line, I still don't like the way that they tried building this. And I see Don said this at the very top, Don Wanderly, saying that the coaching staff doesn't make players better. But I think this is a trap that we do get into a lot as fans and people that cover the team, where, yeah, I disagree slightly with that, where I think sometimes they can get the best out of a player, right?
Yeah.
But I think what the Bears have been trying to do is they are trying to overhype the coaching staff, because I see the moves that they made on the defensive line, and it hasn't been great. Justin Jones was a defensive tackle for a team that did not have good defensive tackles in the Chargers. And what has he been? He's been the same exact player. He's not been that good of a defensive tackle, and he continues to not be that good of a defensive tackle here. Then you have a DeMarcus Walker, which we've talked about before. He's been a solid player that can play both sides and had a career year last season. You expect him to regress. And what does he do? He regresses back to the player he always has been throughout his career. He can still play, and he still made a couple plays, but he's not this amazing player. Yet again, Ryan Poles making the signing. Rasheem Green, we already know, plays like Rasheem Green. And that's why he has a 45 PFF grade. And we already know who he is. And then Andrew Billings, they sign him. And what do you know? He's been a career journeyman who's been good. And what do you know? He's been good for the team. What I'm trying to get at is you get what you pay for. And that's what Ryan Poles seemed like he was trying to be too smart with how he's developed this defensive line. And that's why you're not seeing a lot of pressure. That's why you're not seeing a lot of people plug the holes. And two, this is way too early, and I'm not saying these people are bad and that they're bust and they're terrible. But the fans of this show know that I say this about every single week. Defensive tackles need time. And it's statistically proven that when you get a lineman that did not have good production in college, but is a good athlete like Gervon Dexter, Zach Pickens, and Dominique Robinson, typically they do not pan out in the NFL because it's significantly harder to transition, especially at the defensive tackle position. Gervon Dexter continues to struggle. Pickens does make good splash plays every now and again. Now, yet again, give them multiple years, but that's where you see some of the struggles really kind of coming in. And that's why, to me, I just think that, yes, I agree with you. The coaching has been brutal, but at the same time, you need to get a pass rushing 3 technique. And I think it was Broski or somebody mentioned this last show. It's like the most sacks that Justin Jones had before coming to the Bears was 2. He was not a pass rush guy, but we're putting him in a pass rush 3 technique situation. He was more of a run stuffer. So that's just where, yeah, now that we've said it, blame goes all over the board. It's a frustrating situation to be a Bears fan. Most likely going to be 0-3. Actually, watch. We're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Screw it.
Nah.
All of a sudden, we're going to be like, it's going to be just gross, and we're just going to be like, what just happened?
Hey, Brad,
and we're not even going to feel good about it.
What I learned is, sometimes in life, you just got to set expectations low, so then you get surprised, And I think right now, my expectations are that we're going to get the 1st and 2nd overall draft pick this year. So, honestly, if we win one of these games this year, I'm going to be ecstatic. But I'm not expecting us to win a single game right now. I think my expectations are that low. There have been bright spots, and maybe we could focus on that later. But this defense, I don't know if we want to talk about now kind of overall. I think you said that great with Poles. I thought there was no way to blame Poles in this, but honestly, you made me think like, hey, like maybe Poles is to blame as well.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad that when you thought everything was good, I just came in and said, not today. And also, Chris,
everything's wrong.
Yeah, everything is wrong. We tried to just pinpoint it. No, everything's wrong. Oh, yeah. And so, yeah, Chris, also, notification for everyone. Ring the bell. I actually normally don't ring the bell on a lot of the shows that I watch. I actually don't know what it does, to be honest with you. So that's
make sure to smash that like button.
Smash that like button.
Smash it. Poke it.
If you think the Bears are good, smash the like button. If you think they're bad, smash it again.
So if you think we're going 0-17 this year, smash that like button.
So let's go over to the defensive side of the ball. Like we've been talking about, lots of things that are actually. Let's talk about the one thing that you brought up. The pass rush was better. Now, last week we talked about it. Let me just pull this up officially. They had, I believe, 5 hurries. They had 5 total pressures last week. This week, 22. So,
Wow.
significantly better production rushing the passer. It just seemed like they got the ball out a lot faster, was what I was kind of gathering with it. It seemed faster where it was like, okay, they couldn't do much. And then, like you said, Unique missing 2 sacks. That's just kind of what was going on. But yeah, 6 total pressures for Andrew frickin' Billings. This is your nose tackle that had a 38.5% pass rush win rate. 38.5.
Big boy wants to eat.
Yeah, he's like, I'm too old for this. He just starts smacking people around. Like, that is great. Andrew Billings has played so well for the Bears, and that's where, to me, I thought that he played very well out there. So, but yeah,
that's awesome. And honestly, like, besides kind of those missed tackles, I think we had to say, like, Mayfield is pretty tough to tackle, but I think that's not always an excuse. But yeah, it just seemed like this defensive line had a different approach to getting to the quarterback. I felt like they would just collapse the pocket a lot better than they have in week 1, where it was just no pressure at all. There might be one guy that's kind of going towards Jordan Love, but this week it seemed like the whole pocket was collapsing, and it was kind of not just a one person showing up on the defensive line. It seemed like everyone was kind of working together, which I thought was cool. And like, I was going to call for the defensive line's coach. We like to do that on the show, but it's like, hey, they changed something new, and heck, maybe that's why Eberflus, took over this week and not Alan Williams, because Alan Williams was telling them to do something else.
I will say I liked it better with Eberflus. But
I agree.
Don't love it with Eberflus. It still seemed yeah. So, and also I liked what dude said out here, or dude. With this, the thing that I want to see out of Eberflus is it reminds me of parenting, where you have the nice parent that you can always go to, always comfort. Like, for those that don't know, me and PayPal were brothers. Our mom, sweet as can be.
Yep.
But if she had to throw down the hammer, she's not going to do it, right? She's not going to do it. Our dad is going to throw down the hammer, right? Eberflus, to me, seems like a defensive coordinator that when things get bad, the defensive players could go to him and be like, hey, like at Indianapolis, and he could be like, it's okay, guys. Head coach is just a little mad. He's got to be the guy that's disciplining these guys because they're not playing well. They're not playing well. They're not playing with heart. And so even though that I took the side of polls, it might have been because we were trying to do it with a little bit of TV. But I will say it's like Flus does not have Flus needs to throw down the hammer.
Yeah. I felt that the entire game too, Brad. It's like, give your players some energy, like smack them in the head. You know what I mean? Not like actually, but like be like, hey, what the F are you doing? You might need to get the bleep button back out, Brad.
Yeah. What are
you doing out there? Like, come on.
For real.
But yeah, this defense, like it's always confusing. It's just like our offense of like, Tremaine Edmonds had a lot of tackles. TJ Edwards like had good plays, good tackles.
They had a better game. They definitely
had a better game, but I think what we're just missing is those, and what yet again Eberflus was preaching of, like getting turnovers, getting these hits principle kind of playmaking ability from these players, and I just haven't seen a play being made from this defensive team where it's like, heck, we get a 10-yard sack. Hey, we get
that's a good point.
We get this like massive tackle for loss that just shifts the energy. I feel like our defense kind of plays like they're back against the wall kind of sort of feel.
Yeah.
Not that bad, but it just feels like we're trying to prevent them going forward rather than being aggressive and trying to push them back, you know?
Agreed. It feels like we were playing off the receivers a whole lot, and the Bears actually had a good amount of turnovers last season. And yeah, we have not seen the turnovers, and that's what this team needs, especially when Justin Fields throws 2 interceptions and does fumble the ball and is turnover worthy, turnover prone. But also I want to call attention to a couple comments like what Slick had to say, where just talking about coaching has ruined my quarterback for Chicago, Cade McNown, Rex Grossman, Kyle Orton, Jay Cutler, now Justin Fields. And he said at least Cutler had Julius Peppers, Trubisky had Khalil Mack. Who does Fields have? And that is a good point. And that's where hopefully with one of our top picks, but actually now yet again, if he doesn't have anybody, we can draft someone early. But yeah, he might go his Bears career without having that true Hall of Fame, essentially a Hall of Famer, because they're both going to be Hall of Famers out there. Also, I like what Cliff said too. Would like to comment, but this game was so awful. I put a Q-tip in all the way into wipe, from my memory.
I don't even want to think about that. That would hurt so bad.
I got my in-ears in and my in-ear monitors. I'm like, oh boy, I can feel that a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you where just we need to get some of these turnovers out there. And I think too, because I saw some people comment about the cover 2 defense. Now, a lot of people saying it's obsolete. Something that is actually happening is, I'm not saying it's making a slight comeback due to the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins. Now, should you have it every single week versus every single opponent? No, because exactly what you see happened last week where we're completing short passes. But even then, we're letting up big passes. We're letting up just easy things and the difficult things. So this defense does seem a little broke. Hopefully we can continue to try and fix it. I hope that Matt Eberflus just continues calling plays because right now his butt's on the line. If they continue to lose games, he's gone. And
yeah,
because it's this bad. And I hear a lot of people saying it didn't feel like Mark Trestman last year, but right now it feels like everything's coming off because they're not holding hands singing Kumbaya. They're not winning games. They're not getting the most out of these players on paper. And yeah, ultimately it's not pretty, but PayPal, anything else before we go and start looking at the bright side, start smelling some roses?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit everything on the head. Like again, like this secondary, Brad, I like that we got Tyreek Stevenson. I think, he's a great player. I think he really, gets this defense going. But it's like, yeah, you see how much this defensive line really impacts the game. And it's like, oh, I almost think like, oh, should we like drafted another, like, should have drafted like an edge, in the draft. But
Oh,
hey,
God.
but Tyreek Stevenson, I think he's still a really good pick, and he has been playing well. So,
And
great job by all the people that had to come in play. Elijah Hicks, I think had some hiccups. Greg Stroman, though, I think he played great.
yeah, I thought he played. Yeah, I agree. I thought that he played pretty well for your third string slot corner to come in. That's where I love that he's on the practice squad. I love that he can come in because he's going to play well. And I think that's why I'm so frustrated at this defensive line, why I went on my big rant, because I really do like these cornerbacks. I like our secondary and who we have out there because I just want to see the most out of them. I want to see the quarterback get pressured. So hopefully they continue that and do that towards Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, why not? Why not get your first turnover against the best quarterback in the league? But speaking of drafting players, I was just looking at the rookies, and it made me feel really good about our evaluations. So number one player, obviously Jalen Carter, was the highest graded rookie. In the top 5, I saw Kobe Turner, our boy, that we were
No way.
Kobe Turner is a top 5 graded defensive tackle in the league.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, late 3rd round pick where we were like, Kobe Turner is really freaking good. Like he uses his hands like crazy and he's doing great things. He's playing very well. And also I know one of my favorites, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, also is one of the top graded rookies at the defensive end spot. Did go in the first round, but yeah. So also too, just because I know some people are going to start looking at the draft, look at the blue chip players because you see what's going on right now. Those blue chip players, Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, Bijan Robinson, were the 3 ones. Bijan's going off, Jalen Carter's going off, and Will Anderson is playing well on a bad team. So that's a whole concept of blue chip, is they're as close to a good player and a lock as you're going to get. But let's go over to the bright side of things, PayPal. We've talked about a couple of these. So let's end this. And actually, for everybody that's watching, say something positive, right?
Yeah,
Say something positive about the Bears now that we've just like completely ridiculed them for the past 50 minutes. So PayPal, on the bright side, on the sunny side, what do you have to say about the Bears that's positive coming out of this?
Yeah, Brett, I thought you were gonna just like have us, take out a lighter and start singing like a slow song or something about the Bears going down and something. But yeah,
That's
honestly,
what Matt Eberflus is probably doing right now, where Eberflus is probably like, now guys, everything's okay. We just have to be better. And they're like, okay. Thanks. Thanks, Youth Minister Eberflus.
He's got the hair for it. But yeah, I honestly, a positive sign is I do think it felt like we improved from last game. I mean, offensive wise and defensive wise, I think there was some improvements. First one, we saw DJ Moore actually get the ball more. We saw it get 3 times as many receptions as he did last time. So that's an improvement. Chase Claypool actually improved. Like, he actually looked like he wanted to block sometimes, got a touchdown. And Justin Fields, like, when he did throw the ball deep, it was awesome. It was accurate. He had a really successful first drive. And if he's able to do that, like, awesome. If he keeps doing that, and if we figure out what we can do to kind of keep that offense going, awesome. There's a lot I can, the running game. Like, we still have our running game, and we just need to use it more against. And heck, we face like one of the best running defenses this week.
Yeah.
And we still ran it really, really well against them. So this offense, there's a lot of disappointments. There's a lot of just, lost hope and frustration, but there's still a lot of good things coming from this offense that I think, I really think Getsy, he is a smart individual and will go back to being like, hey, what worked for us last year? What worked for us? What's working for us? He already took out wide receiver screens. Now he's going to be start working maybe towards more running and not trying to run this weird offense he's doing.
Agreed. Also, Slick saying as his positive thing, we're getting a new stadium. And also, T-Dub, like in my Mr. Rogers voice, my Matt, I guess that was very Mr. Rogers-y, I got to say. So, but my positive thing.
Yeah, darnell right.
I agree with Skokes. I think that I said this before earlier on. I don't hate what we have at the tackle position because I think that Braxton Jones is still a good run blocking offensive tackle, and Darnell Wright continues to show that he has a lot of potential. So I like it. I like what we have at the tackle spot. And let's say we have an early draft pick, and let's say hypothetically Justin Fields gets better and we want to still have another year with him. I still feel like you could draft a tackle and maybe move Braxton Jones on the interior or something like that. I feel like they're solid and that they still have some room to grow. But overall, though, I agree. The running game, seeing that get back on track and looking good against a good run defense. Now, there was a handful of plays that we weren't able to get some going, but I think that you can look back at the film and say, we have 2 dogs at running back. They are going to be fighting. They are going crazy. Give the dogs the bone. Let them run. Let them show what they're capable of because we have 2 people that want to be here, that want to show what they can do. So to me, it's shifting the focus. It was always Justin Fields' team. It was always him. He had to do everything. He doesn't have to do everything. We have a running game. We have a number one wide receiver. Hopefully Darnell can come back healthy and Justin can start not overthinking as much and just start so that he just has to focus on throw it here. And then maybe the coaching staff says, listen, I don't care if you throw for 5 picks. We're going against the Chiefs. We're going to lose anyway. Don't say that. But we're going to lose anyway. Just throw it, right? Like, just throw it. And hopefully he does, but we'll see. To me, guys, we've already gone through something like this, and at least we're going against some pretty difficult teams up ahead. But make sure to stay tuned for the Unbearable Sports Show. Make sure to like and subscribe out there, and maybe this is it, right? We need to get more subscribers because we made this as a joke, saying that, hey, the number of subscribers we get is the number of Justin Fields passing yards he's going to get. It might be accurate. So make sure to subscribe, not for us, but for Justin Fields, because this is actually getting scary accurate now. A joke is now becoming serious. But now, also, probably the more important thing, rate 5 stars out there on Apple Podcasts so that you can be in the running for a Darnell Wright jersey. Once we reach 58 5-star reviews out there on Apple Podcasts, we will give the jersey away to some lucky fan. So make sure to stay tuned. PayPal, it was a rough week again, but I'm glad we all came back together. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Bear down, everyone. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long